watching Channel 3, where news comes first. This is News 3 at noon.
Okay, if you've ever thought that your kids were driving you nuts, and a lot of us have, we've got a book for you.
Yes, it's called Parenting Infants and Toddlers Without Going Nuts. The author's advice coming up next on News 3, where news comes first. Welcome back. If you have a baby or young child, you may be on the verge of a nervous breakdown. There are ways to avoid that feeling. A local author has a whole book full of advice. Kendall joins her now with some of that advice. Kendall?
Yeah, it can drive you crazy at times. I'm here with local author Marinakis. Thanks so much for coming today. Your book is called Parenting Infants and Toddlers Without Going Nuts.
That's right.
It's a great likelihood that many parents will go nuts trying to raise children.
I don't think they actually go nuts, but they feel like they are, and that's a lot of what I hear, so hence the title.
Yeah, and I've had a chance to read a few chapters in this book, and it's fascinating. You have 5 basic rules that you talk about.
Right.
First and foremost, get off the couch.
Exactly. Getting off the couch is exactly the most important thing that you can do. Many parents, after a tough day at work, plus the household chores and all of those things, decide to come home and they are just glued to the couch, and they're yelling orders and directions from the couch, expecting a child to hear them and follow directions from another room. And that simply is not the case. They're not going to follow directions. You've got to get off the couch, get on the floor, play with your child, interact, and make sure that they understand what you expect from them.
It's hard to do sometimes at the end of a long day. Get on the floor and play, you mentioned. Don't even go there is the third rule.
I say don't even go there. That applies to, if you've been to one of my seminars, picking and choosing your battles. How important is it to you to battle or argue over whether your child decides they want to wear a hat to bed, or they want to, as I heard yesterday, have some ice cream with breakfast? I mean, if that's a very important issue to you, decide what you're really going to battle over.
Okay, now the fourth rule is intriguing, and I don't know exactly what it means. It says just play Columbo.
That's also something that I take from my seminars, and it has to do with ignoring. A lot of negative behavior kids do because it works. The whining, if you recall Saturday Night Live, the whiners, they got everything they wanted because they were so obnoxious that people just wanted to shut them up by giving them what they wanted. And many times parents do that with their children. So I say counter that with the Columbo technique. So it works very well with whining. And if you know Columbo, he was that old investigator.
Yes, I do.
Exactly. And so I suggest to parents, break that pattern and say, you know what, I just can't understand you when you're whining like that. When you can use your words, I'll be happy to listen to you.
Well, I'll tell you though,
ignore.
I have a 2-year-old, almost 2-year-old, and right now his thing is if we don't answer him immediately, he just gets louder and louder and louder until he's yelling whatever he wants. Do you ignore that? You have a whole chapter on ignoring.
You've already let it go to the higher level. You have to decide if you're willing to respond immediately, or you can say, I hear you, just a moment, and then go back and praise for his waiting patiently. You can do that. But if you choose to ignore a behavior, you have to be able to do it for the long haul. So then the worst thing you can do is let him get louder, 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 and then give him attention, because then the next time he's going to start off at that louder, higher intensity.
Easier at home, but when you're in Target or the grocery store, it's another story, because you don't want him to bother everybody else. The 5th rule is to have fun.
Exactly.
Just let it happen.
And I think that comes with being a little creative and things. Many times kids don't want to do things like brush their teeth or get ready for bed or getting dressed, things like that. But if you can find a way to turn it into a game, sing a song about it, and have fun yourself, it makes the day go by much faster and much more easily.
There were a number of chapters I wanted to talk about, and we have time for just one more to cover. And I guess I'll go with, can you spoil a baby? You say there's absolutely no way you can spoil a baby.
Yes, that is like nails on a chalkboard. I hear that often. I don't want to pick the baby up because I don't want to spoil him. And the thing for parents to remember is that babies cry because they need something. They can't communicate like you and I can. They can't say, you know what, I have a soiled diaper, this is really uncomfortable, could you please change me? I'd really appreciate it. So they cry. And if you really tune in to the kinds of cries, many times parents will even be so in tune that they'll know, oh, that's the hungry cry, oh, that's the diaper change cry. So if you put it in perspective of the child is crying because they need something, and that includes social needs, because many times parents will say, well, I fed him, I changed him, what else does he want? He might just want to be held.
Yep. All right, Maria Marinakis, the book is Parenting Infants and Toddlers Without Going Nuts. So where can you find it?
You can find it at the Borders in Green Valley, also the Saharan Decatur store, and you can order online through Amazon.com.
You're going to be doing a book signing as well pretty soon.
Yes, I'll be at the Borders on Saharan Decatur on April 17th. That's a Saturday from 2 until 4.
Maria Marinakis, thanks so much for coming today.
Thank
Fascinating
you.
book.